Hello and welcome back to another Pickled Unscripted. As always, I have with me Matt the Pickled Dragon, and I'm Dracoya. What are you drinking today, Matt?
I am drinking Glenmorangie.
Glenmorangie.
Ooh, that sounds yummy.
It
And
is. Sadly, I'm almost out too.
oh no, travesty!
I
Quick,
know.
somebody buy a t-shirt so that we can afford to get Matt more whiskey.
That's right. More scotch.
And I am drinking homemade eggnog, which, by the way, I'm gonna get let you in on a little secret. Um, Eggnog, you don't actually have to cook the eggs, like temper the eggs with warm milk and stuff, the way a lot of recipes will tell you. If you put enough alcohol in it, the alcohol actually cooks the egg and takes out any bacteria. So, expert tip right there.
There is another way of doing eggnog, and that
Mm,
is you take the alcohol and you drink it, and then you just leave the rest out.
yeah, that works. That
That
works. Oh,
is that
this is
is
good.
called a clean eggnog.
Yeah, this has too much booze. Well, I don't know if there's too much booze. It's the right amount of booze. This is very, very boozy. Okay, so we have a really cool video for you guys today. Um, Matt has an interesting story about his experience with
Wizard to the
WotC.
Coast. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you take it over, Matt?
All right. So back in 2015. Shortly after fifth edition came out, I learned about the open gaming license for 5e, um, and which was just basically the open game license, right? And so, and I was after much encouragement, I was, pushed into, I should say pushed, but I was nudged into taking my many years of gaming expertise and taking some of my favorite adventures and actually putting them into usable form for others to use. And so I thought immediately of this adventure line that or adventure trilogy that I had put together for several groups. I actually had run it multiple times over the years for multiple different editions, even. And I had always called it the Days of Blight. And the central figure to the adventure were hags, night hags to be specific. And so the first adventure was a play on the Salem witch trials, right?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
That's right up
except
my alley.
there really were witches, night hags. So the first and boy, I wrote it up. I remember writing it really fast because it was like because I had run that adventure so often in the past for other groups that it was just like I just cranked it out.
Okay.
And I went and I put it up in the DM's Guild. Now, at the time, the DM's Guild was something that was new,
Mm-hmm.
and there wasn't a whole lot of material out there. And what there was out there was, there was some good stuff, but there's a lot of bad stuff too. You kind of had
And
to.
this is where things change, guys. This is where the story shifts.
Yes. So without even advertising, I don't think I advertised Days of Blight for a couple years after I released it, but without even advertising, it started selling. And I was getting a lot of really good reviews. And um, so somebody at WotC, and I went back to try to find all the emails and I couldn't find the emails anymore. And I'll explain what happened with that, but
In his anger, he deleted the evidence.
I did.
No,
So
Matt.
yeah, somebody at WotC reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, we don't normally on the DMs Guild actually print physical copies, but we want to print the trilogy you're writing." So at the time, I had the first one done. I was nearly done with the second Days of Blight, and I had the third one outlined, ready to go. And I was like, all right. So they put the first Days of Blight in print, so you could go out to the DMs Guild. You could order physical copies of the Days of Blight, the first one. And I thought, man, this is really cool. And they were like, yeah, we're gonna get the other two done. And then I started like looking around at the terms of service because that's like something, you know, there are many links and it seems like they broke up the terms of service through this FAQ where you could click on links and then you could go investigate all the different questions you might have. And I noticed that there was really nothing that could prevent you from or prevent WotC from taking the IP and reprinting it. Um,
Bum, bum.
yeah, because well, let me share the the boiled down service agreement here. So they say you own your IP. You're not giving away ownership of your IP, but the DM's Guild, WotC, has the exclusive right to sell your product in perpetuity. So
When you
the moment
publish
I
a
put,
product to the DM's Guild, you are not giving away the ownership of your product. You are giving DM's Guild the exclusive right to sell your product in perpetuity. Wizards of the Coast does not own any of the unique IP that you create in your publications. Wizards of the Coast does own the IP that they contribute to your product, i.e., the rules, lore, characters, locations. The DM Guild creators are granted access to use any content published on DM's Guild by other community creators in their own DM's Guild products. This does not mean the products or content can be copied and sold as a new product.
yes. So in early 2019, I and I said, I asked him because that last section, I was like, well, does because in my mind, DM's Guild was interchangeable with WotC, right?
Right,
Uh, so in my mind, that means they could take elements of my stories or my adventures and reprint it as their own and just give me credit,
right,
right?
right.
And the the response I got was kind of weird. It was, we'd never do that. And
Mm.
I was like, okay, and at the time I didn't have any reason not to believe them, Uh,
Matt, you're so sweet. Guys,
I
isn't he
know.
sweet? Isn't he
Yeah.
adorable?
Yeah. So and here was a little bit more on here's a little bit more on the um, giving credit for content that others take from your materials.
When reusing a larger element that you have taken from another DM's Guild's author's work, include a reference to the original work by linking the product page on dmsguild.com within your PDF. For example, okay, we don't need an example. On your title's credit page, make a list of such references. This does not apply to artwork or maps.
Yes.
Hmm.
So,
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that they can use all your work as much as possible, but they have to credit you.
right.
Okay.
Um, so what ended up happening was early 2019, suddenly my contact at WotC just stopped responding to emails. And I thought, well, this is weird because we had a pretty good dialogue back and forth. And then I remember a few weeks went by and I get an email from a new lady who had
Ooh.
taken over for my contact.
Oh
And
no.
yes, so she takes over for the contact and she's like, yeah, about publishing your material, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to focus on collaborative works, is what she said. And I was like, well, I mean, I have all of these emails saying that you'd publish my stuff for me, and
Right.
we got one done as it is, and she goes, well, we're just not doing that anymore. Um, And I was like, whoa. And, in the meantime, I was getting great reviews. And again, I hadn't even started advertising yet. And this is like, a couple years after I published the first one. I didn't really plan on advertising because I was making decent money just selling it there. So then
Right.
I got frustrated, as we
Okay.
as we are known to do, right? And
Delete all
because
the emails.
yeah, over the next few weeks, I started looking at the titles, like brand new titles that were showing up. Well, and I should rewind because she did say, well, if you show enough sales, we might reconsider. And I was like, okay. But in the meantime, I started seeing titles show up in the DMs Guild that had just shown up, had no sales whatsoever yet, and they were appearing with a hard copy option
Well,
already.
then what the fuck?
I know exactly. But I did notice that uh, it was the authors were mostly women, which there's nothing wrong with that, but um, it just seemed like where they were trying to push certain voices over others, right? At least publicly. Behind the scenes, there were all kinds of controversies, of course,
Oh
but
yeah, we all know about those. We got lots of videos about those.
yeah.
But
But in any case, I got frustrated. I decided I'm just gonna pull all my shit down. I'm gonna just take all of my works off. I had like 5 or 6 different things in the DMs guild by this point. I was like, I'm just gonna
yeah,
take it all down.
fuck
And
WotC. Taking
and
your
I
shit and packing up and going home.
yeah, and I was gonna take all my toys and go home. Because I was
Fuck
like,
yeah.
they get half of the the money.
Huh?
Every time something's sold, they get half of
Half?
the revenue when it's
Isn't
sold.
that outrageous? That sounds outrageous.
It
Half?
and yeah, they get half. So I went to go take it down and it would not let me take anything down. So I emailed, I'm like, I just want to take my shit down. And they were like, no, you can't do that. No, can't do that. We
I'm
have the
sorry, what now?
right to sell it in perpetuity. And I'm like, you have the right to sell it in perpetuity, but it doesn't mean I'm going to sell it elsewhere. Like I should be able to just take it down and just like, you know, camp with my toys at home, but they wouldn't even allow that. So
So
at
you
that
don't
point,
actually own.
I kind of abandoned the DMs Guild. I was just like, I'm done with the DMs Guild. They can take their exclusivity rights and everything. And I started publishing on Drive-Thru RPG and Amazon and places like that. And yeah, I got pretty frustrated by the folks there. Uh, So when I look at how they were trying to control the works on the DMs Guild when the whole OGL crisis or scandal came up. Um, it was pretty obvious that it, the changes that they wanted to make to the OGL were very much in line with what they were doing to creators on the DMs Guild. Um,
Yeah.
so this is not like an official post from WotC or anything. This is just kind of a snippet I took that summarized what the new OGL before they were pushed into retracting the proposal. They called it a proposal, but it was like I remember at the time they'd sent out the new OGL to all the creators, and this was basically it. They they wanted 25% of revenue. Notice profits was crossed out. It was revenue. So, when you publish a book, typically particularly when you publish here in the States, most of the cost, well, I would say about 60% of the revenue is eaten up by the cost of printing the book.
Okay.
And you know, so when they say we want 25% of the revenue, that's not 25% of what's left over after you pay printing costs. I mean, that's a painful. blow right there. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and then they
I mean, so
wanted
you're
to be
getting
able to,
pennies,
yeah,
basically.
and then they wanted to be able to uh, take material from anybody using the OGL and reprint it without giving credit, and just call it, oh, this is part of the WotC catalog. That's why when Chris Cox was like, we have 50 years of material that we can delve using AI to write new adventures. I was like, are they going to be hitting the DMs Guild too? Are they going to be hitting, like, are my works going to start showing up and
Well,
do
because legally they can, right? Legally they can take your works from online and just start publishing them into a communal document, right? Or better yet, WotC's continuing this BS campaign of we're going to go online. So in theory, they could get an AI to do the DMs part of your campaign and just take your campaign, put it into a phone app, make millions of dollars, and you don't get jack shit, right?
Yeah, they would have to give me credit according to the DM.
Oh,
Of
well, thanks
course,
for the credit.
yes, exactly. It was definitely an eye opener for me because, I am a very, very laid back person, and I'm probably too casual when it comes to the business side of things.
You can be. It's not a bad trait, Matt, but you can be.
Yeah, and so I don't necessarily protect myself, nor do most people go in and read the minutia of all the rights and responsibilities that that you're responsible for when you enter into an agreement, say with a DM's Guild. And again, it's not exactly the most user-friendly uh, platform anyway when it comes to reading all of those things because
Well,
there's
no
so
one
many
reads.
links. There's so many links on the website that take you here and there and trying to dig out this information. I mean, I consider myself a veteran of the website, and it still took me a good 15 minutes to track this down in their website. Uh,
So first of all, no one reads the terms and conditions. But from what you're saying, it sounds like even if you were the type of person to read the terms and conditions, good luck fucking finding them.
yeah. I mean, I gotta tell you, I still am a little bit salty about the DMs Guild though.
Rightfully so, man. I think I'm a little salty for you. I've used more than one F-bomb this video, which I don't normally use that many. But I'm clearly upset for you, Matt.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like I've been rambling a little bit because I'm a rambler, but it's one of those things that I have you live and learn, and I do really enjoy publishing adventures and new supplements for games. But this experience definitely hurt because
Kind of taken your joy. WotC has robbed Matt of his
I
joy,
think
guys.
WotC has robbed a lot of joy from a lot of players in the last.
Yeah, but he's robbed your joy. They've robbed your joy, Matt. Guys,
Yes.
if you want to give Matt just a little bit more joy in his life, you should go to our store and buy some of our t-shirts that Matt designed, by the way. And Matt controls the IP for this. And
No.
this one says, when one of us gets attacked, we all roll for initiative because that is D&D. That is the spirit of D&D, guys. If one of us gets screwed with, we all gotta stand up. Screw you, Watsy. We're taking our joy back.
Yes, yes. I tell you. So if you want to publish your own works, and you want to do it on DM's Guild, buyer beware, as they say. There are other options.
Mm.
You can definitely get on um, Drive Through RPG just as easily. In Drive Through RPG, they only take 40% rather than 50%. And Amazon is great. You could print on demand. All of my works you can get physical copies of.
Aw,
Um,
look at that. We should add some
yeah.
links.
Yeah, I think there's links down below in the description
Well,
somewhere.
there we go. There's links down below, guys. Take a look at all of Matt's magic that he's got going on. But
Yeah.
anyway, guys, I've had a little bit too much rum. Comment, like, subscribe. Tell us what you think. Are you on board with us? Down with WotC. All right, just come back for another round on us.